there's a version of healing that almost no one prepares you for. Not the dramatic kind. Not the kind with breakthroughs or big realizations. The kind that feels quiet. Almost invisible. This is the quiet work. And it starts somewhere most people overlook. Stability. For a long time I thought healing meant understanding myself better. I thought if I could just figure out why I felt the way I did, trace it back far enough, connect enough dots, explain it clearly enough,
then something would click, and I'd feel better. But that isn't what happened. What happened instead was exhaustion. Because insight without stability doesn't bring peace. It brings overload. I didn't need more answers. I needed my body to stop feeling like it was constantly bracing for something. I needed rest that wasn't stolen in fragments. Meals that weren't skipped or rushed through. Days that didn't swing between extremes, all pressure on one end, all emptiness on the other. No one really talks about this part, that before meaning, before purpose, before clarity, the nervous system needs evidence that life is predictable again. Not exciting, predictable. Safety isn't a feeling you think your way into. It's something the body learns through repetition, waking up around the same time, eating regularly, letting a day be ordinary without trying to escape it or improve it. And at first, this feels unbearable, because when you've lived in chaos or intensity or survival, stillness doesn't feel calm. It feels wrong. The mind gets restless. It starts searching. It starts questioning. Why do I feel flat? Why do I feel bored? Why doesn't this feel like progress? But that discomfort isn't failure, it's withdrawal. Chaos trains the nervous system to associate intensity with aliveness. So when intensity disappears, the body assumes something is missing. It isn't. Something is healing. This is where a lot of people turn back. They assume the quiet means nothing is happening. So they add stimulation, they add pressure, they add noise, and the cycle starts again. But healing doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It shows up subtly. This is where rebuilding, and that's confusing. And that's confusing because we're told that being in the moment is the goal. But no one really explains why the moment itself can feel so hard to stay in. For a long time, I thought something was wrong with me. I thought if I couldn't sit still, if my mind kept drifting, thought if I needed noise, movement, distraction, then I must be doing it wrong. But that isn't what was happening. My nervous system wasn't resisting peace. It was protecting me. When you grow up needing to stay alert, needing to read the room, needing to anticipate what might happen next, your mind learns that leaving the present is safer than staying in it. So you think ahead. You replay the past. You imagine every possible outcome, not because you want to, but because at one point that kept you safe. Presence asks you to stop doing all of that. And when you stop, everything you were outrunning starts to surface. Sensations, emotions, unfinished feelings. The body doesn't care that the danger is over, it only knows what it learned. So when things slow down, it reacts the same way it always has. With tension, with restlessness, with an urge to move, scroll, think, escape. This is why silence can feel loud, why stillness can feel threatening, why boredom can feel like anxiety. It's not because you're broken, it's because your system was trained in a different environment. Presence isn't neutral at first, it's unfamiliar, and unfamiliar doesn't feel safe, even when it is. So the mind tries to take control again. It asks questions, it searches for problems, it creates urgency where there is none. I should be doing something. I'm wasting time. This isn't enough. But presence isn't about doing less. It's about letting your body realize it doesn't need to stay ahead of the moment anymore. That takes time. You don't force presence. You practice staying just a little longer than before. You notice the discomfort without trying to solve it. You let the urge to escape rise and pass without following it. At first it feels like nothing, but slowly something changes. The moments where your mind runs become shorter. The need to fill silence softens. The present stops feeling like a place you have to survive. This isn't mindfulness as a technique. It's safety being relearned. And it doesn't happen all at once. Some days you'll stay present easily. Other days your mind will leave 100 times. That's not failure. That's practice. Presence isn't something you achieve. It's something you return to again and again without punishment. You're not meant to live perfectly in the moment. You're meant to feel safe enough to visit it. And every time you stay, even briefly, you're teaching your system something new. That now is not then, that you don't have to leave anymore. This is part of the quiet work.
All right, guys, this way.
And like everything else here, it doesn't
Over
rush.
here. Over here, Chief. Come on.
A look, a tone, a pause in the conversation. And suddenly the reaction doesn't match the moment. It feels bigger, louder, more urgent.
Come on.
And that's confusing, because logically nothing that serious just happened. For a long time, I thought this meant I was overreacting, that I was too sensitive, that I couldn't let things go. But what I was actually experiencing wasn't the present. It was the past, showing up without warning. The nervous system doesn't track time the way the mind does. It doesn't organize memories into neat chapters. It remembers in sensations, in tone, in energy, in threat. So when something in the present feels familiar, not identical, just similar, the body responds as if it's happening again. Not because you want it to, but because it learned that responding fast once mattered. This is why certain situations feel loaded, why small moments can trigger big emotions, why your body reacts before your thoughts catch up. It isn't weakness, it's memory without words. And when that happens, the present gets flooded. You're here, but you're also somewhere else. Old emotions, old defenses, old urgency. And the hardest part is this. You might not even realize it's happening. It just feels real. The frustration, the fear, the shutdown, all of it makes sense, just not for now. This is why telling yourself to calm down doesn't work. The body doesn't respond to logic when it thinks it's under threat. It responds to safety. And safety starts with recognizing what's happening in real time. Asking gently, is this about now, or does this feel older? That question alone can create space, not to shut the feeling down, but to place it where it belongs. This is the work of separating timelines, letting today be today, letting the past stay in the past, without denying it, without doing it. You don't need to relive what happened to understand it. You need to notice when your body is responding to something that isn't actually here anymore. And that takes patience. Because the reaction feels automatic, and sometimes it is. But over time, something shifts. You start catching the moment sooner. You realize, this feels intense because it's familiar, not because it's dangerous. The present starts to get its own weight again. It stops carrying everything that came before it, and your reactions slowly return to their actual size. This doesn't mean the past disappears. It means it stops hijacking the now. You learn to stand in today, without bracing for yesterday. That's not forgetting. That's integration. And it happens quietly, moment by moment, when you stop asking yourself to be different and start allowing your system to update. This is part of the quiet work, letting time untangle itself. People talk about being present like it's peaceful. A lot of people think they have a thinking problem, that their mind won't shut off, that they overanalyze everything, that they can't stop looping.
All right, guys, come on.
But most of the time, that isn't the real issue. The issue is overstimulation. When the nervous system is overloaded, the mind speeds up to match it. Thoughts don't race because you're broken, they race because the body is stuck in high alert. And a body in high alert doesn't care about logic. It cares about survival, so it scans, it plans, it replays conversations. It tries to solve problems that don't actually need solving, not because they're urgent, but because staying busy feels safer than slowing down. This is why trying to think your way out never works. You can't reason a nervous system into calm. You have to show it. Calm doesn't come from answers, it comes from signals. Signals like slower breathing, fewer inputs, less constant decision-making. When the body finally starts to settle, the thoughts don't disappear, they soften. They lose their urgency, they stop demanding immediate attention. This is where a lot of people get frustrated. They sit down, they try to relax, and the mind gets louder. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means the body hasn't learned yet that it's allowed to slow down. Stillness can feel threatening when your system is used to constant input. Silence feels like something's missing. But what's actually missing is the noise your nervous system became dependent on. Regulation isn't about forcing peace. It's about reducing pressure until calm can happen on its own. Slower breathing tells the body there is no emergency. Lower input tells the mind it doesn't need to stay sharp every second. Stepping away from constant problem solving teaches the system that not everything requires immediate action. This doesn't happen all at once. At first, slowing down feels uncomfortable. Restlessness shows up, the urge to grab your phone, the urge to think harder, the urge to do something. That urge isn't intuition, it's conditioning. And you don't fight it. You notice it, you breathe through it, you let it rise and pass without obeying it. Over time, something changes. The body stops bracing, the shoulders drop, the breath deepens on its own. And the mind follows, not because you forced it, but because it finally feels safe enough to slow down. This is the part most people miss. A calm body produces clearer thoughts, not the other way around. You don't win peace by thinking better. You arrive at peace by letting the body stand down. This is the quiet work. Less effort, less noise, more space. and the understanding that nothing needs fixing in this moment, only regulating. Some people don't relax because they don't want to.
Come on.
They don't relax because their body doesn't know how. When you've spent a long time needing to stay alert, watching for shifts in tone, changes in energy, signs that something might go wrong, your system learns that standing down is dangerous, so it stays on, even when nothing is happening, even when the room is quiet,
Come on, guys.
even when you're finally safe.
Good boy.
This is hypervigilance, and it isn't a personality trait. It's a survival response that never got the signal to turn off. Hypervigilance keeps you